Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast is number 1387. The topic is Q&A and the title is, Why Did You Increase My Calories? If you've been listening to the podcast for a while or have listened to podcast 1232, which is the nutrition podcast title Start Here, you'll know that the general range for daily caloric kind of needs, if you're having to estimate it, is body weight times 11 to 15. 11 is kind of the lowest number, like the lowest amount of calories you should go to. Even if your goal is fat loss, if you need more of a deficit, you should be moving more rather than eating less in order to create that deficit. And then 15 is usually the high end of the range that I recommend most people kind of start at in order to start gaining muscle mass. This usually puts them at a surplus or near a surplus, and then they can see how their body reacts, and then they can push up in their calories from there. Now, I have clients who do go over 15, and that recently actually happened with one of my current clients. A client and I were recently making adjustments to their program. We had switched from a kind of like a slower paced, they're not going to think it was slow paced, but it was slower paced strength and kind of muscle building training to a more high paced kind of hybrid program. They said they wanted basically, they wanted CrossFit mixed with, they're like, I want to do CrossFit stuff because it looks cool. But I also have been watching a lot of calisthenics videos on YouTube, and I really like all the different kind of crazy things they do. But I don't want to lose strength, and I still want to build muscle. And I was like, well, of course, we all want that. Let's go. Let's do it. So I was fired up. I was like, hell yeah. So I wrote him a new program. It has, kind of a hybrid program. There's some absolute strength mixed in there, which is just the heaviest damn thing you can move. There's relative strength, which is how well can you move yourself, body weight strength. And then just trying to do kind of cool shit. So I have him doing like a one-arm overhead like barbell press, a bunch of like things. If you know what skin the cat is, you can do that on rings. So this client, they have a home gym, pretty badass home gym. So that's basically, we use their TRX system, their ring system. They have a squat rack, trap bar, jump box, all these things. So we wrote out some really cool stuff. And they are a very, very, very active person. They're a farmer. So they live the farmer life, whatever that is. So very active. So basically you get up before the sun gets up and you go to bed after the sun goes good to bed, and you're just up and active all day. Then they also do these workouts kind of 3 to 4 times a week. So he's already eating body weight times 20. So if you multiply your body weight times 20, that's how many calories he eats a day. That's a lot, right? Now, when we started his new program, but within kind of the first week, he sent me photos and he noticed that he felt like it looked like he was kind of washed out, meaning that he had lost some details in his abs. He noticed a little more kind of like loss of detail around like the outside edge of his chest. The lower back was holding a little bit of like water. So he was just like, man, what should I do here? Should I reduce my calories in order to kind of adjust for this change in his looks? And I told him the opposite. I asked him to actually increase his calories, an adjustment of around about 150 to 200 calories a day. And I told him that within a week or so, he'd feel his skin get a lot tighter and his daily energy would be kind of like through the roof. He made the adjustments, and within 5 days, his skin was tight and he's feeling great. So in his journal, he commented how my advice seemed scary at first, but he trusted me and he made the changes. And he's like, holy shit, how the hell did that work? He's like, how did adding more calories make me look better? And I knew that was needed because the new program we changed to burned more calories per workout than the old program. So since he's burning more calories in his new workouts, he wasn't looking washed out from increased fat, body fat. That would be impossible considering he just increased his caloric usage. So there's no way he'd be in an increased surplus of calories. So that told me that his body was stressed. It was underfed, which was causing the body to increase cortisol production, which caused the increase in water retention under skin. This is why he also looked flat as well as washed over. His muscles weren't round and full like they normally were. They were smaller and kind of softer to the touch, and he had more water retention under the skin, meaning if he were to rub like the wrinkles that he saw like in his lower back, if he were to rub the layers of that skin together, it would have felt smooth rubbing them together. Body fat feels like lumps of cottage cheese under your skin. So if it's feeling smooth, that tells you it's water. If it's lumpy, that tells you it's fat. So we increased his caloric usage. His muscles flattened out. There was more water retention, not fat storage, under the skin than usual. That all equals we increase calories. We increase them around the workout time, either beforehand or right afterwards. But it's around the workout time that he needs them the most, so that's when we put him in the most. So all of a sudden, boom, his body was better fed to match his new activity level. The decrease in cortisol production meaning that he didn't hold as much water. And then bam, he looks freaking awesome. Muscles are full, skin's tight. Boom, that's the goal. Now, how can you use this information? If you increase your activity level, but you look softer and with less muscle detail, do not decrease your calories. It's not fat that's causing you to lose muscle definition and fullness. It's insufficient calories. So the CrossFit coaches and CrossFit athletes I work with, they're actually the biggest violators of this kind of concept. They just do more and more and more and eat less and less and less, then they wonder why they looked washed over. So I'll have coaches tell me, hey, I'm trying to coach my classes, I'm trying to post myself on social media, and I got this little water roll around my lower belly and my obliques and my low back. Like, what the hell's happening here? And they tell me what they're eating, and they're eating like freaking like contest prep nutrition for people who get on stage for bodybuilding, but yet they're doing crazy stuff all day, every day, especially coaches. They're, coaching multiple classes a day plus doing their own workouts, and they're eating like 1,400 calories. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Don't do that. You're basically just killing your body. So I also see in aesthetic athletes, if they want to try to stay lean in the off season, and again, it's because some of the ones I work with, they make money based on the way they look. So they need to stay lean in the off season, but they underfeed themselves when they're trying to ramp up their training to get more muscle mass and strength. I also see that in strength athletes who want to lose weight leading into a competition, and then general population if they'd make an extreme nutritional or exercise change in order to lose weight. So if you're tired and you notice a negative change in your aesthetics, and you've recently increased your activity and or made a big caloric reduction in your nutrition, then you're probably in the same situation. Add more calories. Add them around your workout. Say 100 to 200 calories worth of carbs around your workout. Now, if you don't want to do carbs, I don't know what to do with you. Because carbohydrates do not make you fat. Oh my gosh. So there's going to be a podcast I want you to listen to. So let me see here. Podcast 474 is a nutrition podcast titled "Is Going Low Carb Necessary for Fat Loss?" That would be a really good one to listen to. So that way you kind of understand carbohydrate impact on fat loss. So that's really good. Let me see if there's another one. I think we have a couple of them. So there's podcast 650 is a nutrition podcast titled Body Weight Effects from Carbohydrates and Sodium. And that'll tell you why you notice if you eat carbohydrates, your body weight goes up, a pound or 2 or 3 or 4 the next day. So that's not increased body fat. You can't gain 4 pounds of fat in one day. Your body can't even make 4 pounds of fat in one day. So podcast 650 will help you with that as well. But you want to add 100 to 200 calories to your training days. Add that around your workout times. What you'll notice is you're going to feel a little bit more energy. Maybe you'll notice a little bit tighter skin. So if you get a good response, great, stay there. If you only get kind of like a slight response or you don't really notice anything, then try doing it again. Add another 100 to 200 calories on training days around your training time. Now, you can continue to do that as you increase, but I really don't see how you would need to increase more than 600 to 800 calories to see a actual physical difference. And that physical difference takes about 5 to 7 days to see. Now, that's assuming if you train most of those days, so 4 to 5 days out of 5 to 7 days. If you only train once a week or twice a week, it's not going to be as much of a response at all. So it's going to be a very, very, very slow response. But if you train often, you're going to see the response within 5 to 7 days. So you would see positive change in energy, positive change in tightness of your skin and fullness of your muscles. if you make an addition, like a 100 or 200 calorie addition, and you don't really see a difference, so say you've made 2 or 3 100, 200 calorie additions, then all of a sudden you made one and you don't see much of a difference, you're probably at your threshold, probably at the top, so you can stop there. And then just hold on to those changes. Don't take the calories away. Hold those changes as a new normal and let your body kind of catch up metabolism-wise. And you'll feel much better energy. Your skin will be a lot tighter. All the good things will happen to you. So that is kind of a unique situation that I see with clients. Again, it does happen quite a bit because I get to work with very specialized populations. But it's super fun to see when somebody's really dedicated. They're training their ass off. They're eating super disciplined, but they don't look good and they don't feel good. The bummer is you're actually overdoing it. You're training too much compared to your nutrition. So you've either added too much activity, or you didn't add enough food, or you took away too much food, but that's what you're going to see. So if you're already lean, you're going to notice when you rub your skin together, it's very smooth. If you notice like you have extra rolls around your midsection and you rub the layers together and it's smooth, that's water retention. That's a huge sign that you're underfed, especially if you also have flat muscles. If your muscles don't look nice and full, and like if you touch them, they're kind of very squishy. So that's probably that they're not holding water like they should due to the stress levels of the body. Okay, so I thought that would be fun. The client thought it might make a cool podcast, so I like throwing out these ones every now and then because it's just weird, obscure things that I love, but I don't know how many people this kind of stuff like hits, like how many people this is useful for in regards to the mass population listening to the podcast. But I know there are some because you're my clients and you've heard of me and we've talked about these things before. So there are people who are going to need this information and not realize it yet. So hopefully this one was a good one for you today. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have noticed a change in your physique recently but you don't know how to correct it, just let me know. Reach out or email us brutalirongym@gmail.com. I love doing this stuff. It's what I wake up for every day. It's my passion. So if you reach out to me, it'll never be a burden. I'll always appreciate it. I love that people listen to the podcast. You're giving me a meaning to my life. So I appreciate you very much, and thank you. Cool. Well, if you like today's podcast, the podcast in general, please consider sharing the podcast. You can do so by sharing it on social media. That reaches the most amount of people. But you can even just share it in a conversation with a friend. Just letting somebody know that the podcast exists is a great way to ensure that it can help more people. Another way to ensure that it helps more people is to donate. So thank you to the patrons of the podcast, people who financially support the podcast. The podcast is well over $1,000 a year for hosting costs. I give an hour to it every day. I would love to continue to do it for free and every day. And it's only thanks to the patrons that it costs me the least amount of financial strain, so I appreciate you very much. You can consider giving on our website at www.brutalirongym.com. We have an option for a one-time donation, monthly donation, yearly donation. I appreciate all donations, and they do go directly to the costs, so thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. If you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. If you have any questions, feedback, suggestions, anything you want to know, let us know at our email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.